Strange worlds and stranger creatures awaited in the depths of space. Herds of innumerable Tiyanki, inquisitive, flagellating organisms, and beings which defied classification. Vol and humankind explored the galaxy as partners for many years. While less eager than the Earthlings, they were curious and generally friendly. Worlds were surveyed, and anomalies studied, under the ever-observant, yet aloof, Vol purview. Their distant ancestors had once roamed a great portion of this galaxy, but none had ventured far beyond Vol in 1,000 years. For what reason was lost to history. With the advice of these enigmatic and richly experienced benefactors, human footprints were made in the fresh soil of Terra Nova as early as March 2211. ISS Brazil was to be recorded alongside the Mayflower and Apollo. By 2215, Terra Nova was fully established as a world within the Coalition of Helios, and her colonists given representation alongside the homeworlds. Like those first prints upon the dusty plains of Africa, America, the Moon, and Mars, these would be the first of many. The Sun a star, and a star the Sun. Welcome to Stellaris. Life was abundant, endemic in the cosmos. On worlds of ice and fire, every conceivable and ridiculous niche was filled by creatures of some kind. Before long, an in-depth survey of nearby worlds was complete, showing the true absurdity of biodiversity in the cosmos, and answering countless questions which would have been unimaginable only a few short decades earlier. Discovery was rife in the Helios system. Civilization, however, remained elusive. When challenged on this, the Vol were characteristically caged, even as abandoned structures, clearly of alien design, were found orbiting a black hole. The Vol were also baffled by the suggestion that they were responsible for carving Ilphion 5A. It is not proper for a Vol to engage with such frivolity, one representative remarked. Further investigation revealed the wreck of an alien spacecraft on the surface. There were many more littering the planetoid, and closer study showed they were utterly unlike anything designed by Vol or human hands. Far away in the Trimmus system, Helios was little more than a speck among millions. This otherwise insignificant system was to become the most remote outpost of humanity. The base served as a forward operations center for exploration at an ever greater scale. One star was of interest. In the year 2017, 2 centuries ago, almost to the day, discovery of a vibrant planetary system was made from afar. Its discovery was toasted with Trappist ale, and from there, its name derived. The system did not disappoint, Sir Deshmeek of the ISS Hawking remarked. The experience was profound, like completing an unfinished chapter in history. One bitingly cold world, another searingly hot, both inhabited by great lizards, and a third as lush and diverse as the Earth or Terra Nova. Aboard ISS Sagan, the first bold explorers from Helios were hundreds of light years from home, passing by stars and worlds seen only through the telescope. New constellations were named by the crew who delighted in these stellar vistas. The Hyperspanner, Navigational Matrix, and Tiyanki were the first human concerns to be placed among the stars in 500 years, a reflection of the new age of exploration. The Sun itself featured in many, a reflection of just how far they had come. In orbit of Ilphion 5, ISS Ptolemy made a startling discovery. The patterns of geometric precision colliding erratically with natural formation was the result of the planetoid being systematically taken apart, piece by piece. Was it mining on an incredible scale, or some bizarre alien ritual? The answer would never truly be known. With the mystery of Ilphion 5A solved, Ptolemy, alongside the Vol ship Mikkel, pressed onward into uncharted space. It was quiet this way, but the Vol seemed on edge, opening fire on asteroids and occasionally refusing hails. When pressed, they would only cryptically remark about the dangers of flying the nest. Though these were often brushed off as nothing more than the worried witterings of an overprotective parent, the threat was soon made real. Reports from Terra Nova indicated an M-type asteroid on a collision course. Without the proper infrastructure to negate or avoid such a calamity, it was predicted the planet would experience an extinction event within 2 years, annihilating the first human settlement beyond Helios. Though advanced, humanity was not immune to catastrophe. Just as the Vol had warned, missiles launched from the planet's surface were ineffective, and so the spaceborne fleet was deployed. A fleet consisting of converted sublight corvettes, the remnant strategic reserves of Earth and Mars. Their feeble energy, kinetic, and explosive weaponry was impotent but cumulative. On the surface, people likened the view to an elephant being swarmed by bees. The bees would inevitably win, but it would take time. Time was not on the Novaean side. A subtle, lurking panic spread through the already precarious population of Terra Nova. As the days wore on, with constant explosions lighting up the sky, people became restless. A few ships left, refusing all hails and broadcasting Revelations 22:12 to all who would listen. They held a course out of Coalition space toward the constellation Taurus. But it was only a matter of time. Relief turned to celebration, and celebration was thereafter tradition. Each Novaean year, bonfires were lit. In 1,000 tiny ways, the lights in the night sky were recreated with fireworks. The captain of the vessel which dealt the final blow would be honored as a hero. Meanwhile, in the Durop system, ISS Ptolemy encountered a vessel which matched no known human or Vol designs. The ship appeared to be quite unwilling to open any sort of dialogue, darting between worlds as though surveying, but being sure to always give Ptolemy a wide berth. Changing course erratically, circling the long way around a planet to avoid detection. Strange behaviors for a vessel of exploration. When Ptolemy did eventually come into close contact with the alien craft, by chance in the system's asteroid belt, it simply silently finished what it was doing and sped away. Dr. Gowda was left staring at her own reflection in the star-speckled viewscreen. Her profound speech about peace and common knowledge flatly ignored.
humanity was in ascendance. Technology leading the way. Vol had been firmly established as an allied world to the Coalition. Trades of information and commodity flowed in both directions. Exotic items from alien worlds appeared in every marketplace. Confidence was high. But without experience, it is possible to stumble upon great danger. On a routine survey mission, ISS Sagan encountered something strange. Crystalline entities, beings constructed of a complex mineral lattice. It was unknown if they were conscious or even alive, but they were territorial. Shards glanced across the ship's hull and alarms blared. Structural failure on Deck 5. Section 7E depressurized. Breach detected. ISS Sagan escaped, but not without injury. Speeding ahead of her Vol chaperone, ISS Ptolemy became isolated. Over the swirling, luminescent accretion disk of a black hole, ships, similar to that previously encountered in Europe, approached at speed. 3 vessels, weapons charged. This time, they decided to make themselves known. A creature appeared on the forward communication screen, bulking, dragon-like, and winged, like the specimens recovered from orbit of Sirius and Collidor. They peered at the humans aboard hungrily, like ravenous lizards staring down a helpless cricket. An explanation of scientific intent was not acknowledged, and shots were exchanged. Ptolemy backed off, unable to defend herself against 3 superior vessels. Her assailants did not stand down. With shields failing, they retreated into Vol space, where orbital emplacements saw off the attackers. It was just as the Vol had feared. The predatory race, Raxathar, ferocious hunters seeing all other lifeforms as prey to be ritually slaughtered. They were coming out of hibernation and were hungry for blood. It had been easy to believe the galaxy was quiet, peaceful, natural. In truth, the Vol had been right to worry. Terrors lurked, awaiting unwary civilizations as spiders on a web. In the year 2220 was the first election of the Coalition Council to include a Novaean ballot and be observed by beings from another world. Democracy was something of a novel concept to the Vol, but they watched with interest, curiosity, and paternalistic supportiveness. 4 made the final rounds of voting. Sir Nishant Deshmukh, former Prime Minister of the GBFA, discoverer of Terra Nova, and butcher of Ceres. His agenda was to increase spending on research and development. Lisa Schmidt, a wealthy and influential entrepreneur of the Tranquility Heritage Shipping Consortium. She was keen to see the expansion of Coalition fleet reserves. Nikita Vasilev, lead diplomat to the Vol High Command and proponent of strong and competent leadership. And Ananya Gowda, first person to make contact with 2 alien species and already the subject of some legend. She supported increased food rations and colonization incentives. Fierce debate was concluded and the results announced. Vasilev 4th, Deshmukh 3rd, Schmidt 2nd, and Gowda 1st. Dr. Ananya Gowda was to be the 3rd chair of the Coalition of Helios. The other candidates took up senior positions in the military and government. The now historic vessel ISS Ptolemy was ordered to return to Helios for the inauguration. Dr. Gowda gave a tearful farewell to the crew and ship which had given her so much. "Though I may now be confined to quarters on Earth," she said over loud applause, "my heart will always be out there with you." Though her prerogative as leader was to be science, it would not be long before her skills of diplomacy were tested. In a distant system beyond Trappist, an alien craft approached ISS Sagan. Tentatively, but urgently, they introduced themselves as the Yaolon, a peaceful race with no desire or skill for war. Conflicts on Yaol had been resolved diplomatically or financially. War was an alien concept, but among the stars they'd encountered something they called harbingers, scaly beasts intent on destruction. Commander Bennyflower immediately pulled up images from Ptolemy's encounter near Durop. "That's them!" the aliens cried. The Yaolon Interstellar Confederacy was under attack and unable to defend herself. They asked politely for any assistance the Coalition of Helios could provide. A shipment of alloys and an information-sharing arrangement was quickly agreed, from which the truly dire situation could be understood. A massive fleet was bearing down on the Yaolon systems. Vol diplomats hurried to dissuade the human administration from getting involved in alien affairs, but quietly mobilized their own fleet, their systems recently subject to Raxathar piracy. Days later, a communication was received by the new chairwoman. It was in the raspy dialect of the Raxathar, but translators soon deduced that the message was just 2 short words. "You next."